short this time. In by Moutinho and in by Ronaldo. He is a sensation. 85 goals in 152 games for Portugal, and he leaves behind him one Ferenc Puskas. Statistically now, there is no one...
Wow, Cristiano Ronaldo scores again, 85th international goal. This quadrennial tournament, the FIFA World Cup, never seems to disappoint. And on the match day for today, Portugal defeat Morocco 1-0. Iran lose to Spain in dramatic fashion 1-0. And Uruguay
as well, a little bit.
And Uruguay defeat Saudi Arabia 1-0. So all matches finished up on 1-0. This is 12 Yards Out Podcast. I'm Robert Belardi alongside Devon Imrie and Nelson Santo. And our technical producer is Matthew Stevens. Boys, what did you make of today's games?
Viva Ronaldo. I mean, what else is there to say? He's been the world's best player for the past couple years now. And he's proven it at the international level once again, as he did a couple years ago in the Euro. Now it's just setting up for a really good third-round group game. It's going to come down to who can score the most goals, basically, in their last game. So it's going to be interesting. I didn't like the way either of the teams played today, Spain and Portugal. I felt Iran got a little unlucky, not only on the Diego Costa goal, but for themselves when they found the back of the net and it was ruled offside because of VAR. We'll get into that later on about that huge topic that's been going on throughout the World Cup so far.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
been one of the biggest storyline.
One of the things, too, about today's game is, Portugal come out right out of the gates. Ronaldo scores 4 minutes in, just like he did in the last match. And you thought, okay, is this going to be a blowout? Are we going to see a blowout now? But credit Morocco, they really settled in. They settled in, and they dominated in the second half. And Portugal were nowhere to be found. And, the coach, Fernando Santos, really criticized the Portuguese mentality today about confidence. And that's to the point of that, all Portuguese fans should now be a little bit happy about that because he's criticizing his own team. And that only just kicks Portugal in the butt that much more because the way that Iran played today against Spain, that was an incredible performance. And if Iran can pressure Portugal, well, then we might have a dramatic finish here into this group.
Yeah, I don't think Portugal didn't show up at all, which was, I guess, a little surprising the way they played against Spain. But hey, what matters is the 3 points because a few years ago I would have seen Portugal play really well, and then what would happen? They'd lose games, they wouldn't come out of the group stage. So I don't know. I would rather play, I guess, like this and win than play really, really beautiful soccer and then keep losing, keep not making out of the group stage or out of the round of 16.
And the funny thing is that when Morocco and Portugal last played, Morocco beat them, and Ronaldo was just a 16-month-old toddler.
Yeah.
So this was a long time ago. So it's been one of those things where just Gibraltar basically separates Morocco and Portugal. So it is in a sense a little bit of a rivalry.
I don't think it's a rivalry. They haven't played too many times since, like you said, the last time was Ronaldo 16 months old, right? Spain's their rival, but I don't know. Portugal didn't show up. Morocco deserved the 3 points, in my opinion. They outplayed Portugal right after the goal till the end of the game. They were unlucky a few times, just couldn't finish. But like I said, those 3 points is what Portugal needed, and that's what they got.
And another top team that didn't play well was Uruguay today as well. Again, just barely getting by a lesser opponent that they really should have dominated when they scored the first one through Suarez. That should have opened up the floodgates, and it didn't. And it looked like Saudi Arabia was playing well for most of the match. They held most of the possession, and even had more shots to the first half as well. So credit Saudi Arabia for not just lying down and taking it. Uruguay got the opener, and Saudi Arabia fought back. Unfortunately, we didn't see another goal. But, Uruguay, again, not convincing as in their first game against Egypt. And it took another set-piece goal for them to get through.
Yeah, speaking of set-piece goals, accounting for the past 2 World Cups and including this one, for all 17 goals that they have scored, 7 of them have come from the set-piece. Both the goals in this tournament for Uruguay have come from the set-piece. Jimenez with the first one, Suarez now. And, it's funny, when I saw the goal today that Luis Suarez scored, Diego Godin jumped, missed it. Jose Maria Jimenez jumped, missed it. And then Luis Suarez was right there. And it just shows how lethal Uruguay are from the set piece. Russia have to be doing their homework right now and saying, what can we do to defend the set piece? Because if you don't defend the set piece against Uruguay, you're gonna get burned.
Yeah, and it's been a storyline this whole tournament. 22 out of the 38, or the 39 goals, so far, have come from set pieces. We saw 2 today, and it's just been a continued storyline. And a lot of it has to do with the VAR being brought into it. The referees getting the right call most of the time we've seen, and it's just interesting. Very not sure why there's been a lot of complaints about the ball being used from the goalkeepers, but I mean,
yeah, that one I don't understand.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper should be coming out and
it's a lot of there's a lot of just crybaby. I think it is.
Hesitation to come out, grab the ball in your box. I don't know. I haven't seen so many goals like that coming from a set piece, which is it's soccer, it's football.
So yeah, let's get into Group A. We've gone through 2 games so far in the group. Russia and Uruguay both on 6 points. Obviously, Russia have been scoring at will, 8 goals so far in the tournament and only 1 against. And so they lead the group right now, and it's going to make for a great last game against Russia and Uruguay to decide who wins the group. What are your takes on the group so far?
I'm going to say I got to watch out for Russia, right? The way they're playing. They're hot.
It's incredible.
They're really hot.
No one gave them a chance.
No, and I can admit it that I didn't. I really thought that they would just simply play out like they have in the past tournaments that they've played in. You know, just going back to the previous tournaments since Euro 2008, Russia really have done nothing in major tournaments, including the World Cup and the European Championships. So I really thought that they weren't going to do anything. But in terms of the way that they're playing, they're just flying out of the gates. They're not trying to do anything too special. You can see it. They're playing the simple pass. They're making the simple runs. They're keeping everything very simple. And all credit to Denis Cheryshev right now. He scored 2 goals in La Liga all year for Villarreal. He's got 3 goals in this tournament at this present moment.
That's the World Cup, right? Whenever you're hot, that's at this time of the year, that's what counts. And he's hot at the right time.
Exactly. Hey, James Rodriguez 4 years ago made a name for himself in the World Cup, and everybody just said, "Oh yeah, he's a kid with potential. You know, he played for Porto, he's playing for Monaco, and boom, he earns himself a big move to Real Madrid."
Yeah, and same can be said for a similar situation is now Alexander Golovin, who's looking to make a big money move to Serie A with Juve or maybe Chelsea in the Prem. So he's only 22 years old, and this is his coming out party. A lot of people looked at maybe Timo Werner for a coming out party, but now we're looking at Alexander Golovin for Russia, and he's played stellar through the first 2 games for them. And I'm really excited for this last game because I think Russia's going to be jumping. That stadium is going to be crazy.
Well, they have been, right? Every game that they've played, the stadium's jumping. They have the fans behind them, and that's what you get when you play at home. So it should be good, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Do we got a prediction on a scoreline?
Oh.
Now this one could be tough here.
I think Uruguay wins the match just based on their quality. I think their talent will get them through the game and put them on top of the group.
Honestly, I take the draw. I think Luis Suarez scores the only goal. Again, I mean, Luis Suarez, for his 100th national cap today, scored his 52nd goal for his country. He leads all time for goal scorers in Uruguay. When he gets going, the team around him gets going. And you really see it with the ball movement. You see it with the commanding passes. Cavani really gets involved. And I really like the interplay from what I've seen of Luis Suarez and Edison Cavani. I criticized it before, saying that they do take selfish shots before trying to pass it. At least they always think about the shot before the pass. They haven't really shown that they've taken the shots at the right time so far.
Yeah, they're both selfish players for their club teams, and that carries over to their national team when they need. And it's hard to be a different player for 2 different teams.
No, exactly.
And playing at PSG with Cavani, he doesn't get a lot of competitive games in the French league. They win the title after the first 25 games, right? Maybe even earlier. So the only competitive games he gets is in Champions League, and they haven't gone too far in recent years, right? So it's hard to him to just turn it on at the flick of a switch, and to go from not playing a really competitive game since maybe March to then going into internationals. It's tough.
Yeah.
And same can be said with Barcelona. You know, they won the title very early on.
Yep.
and they were knocked out by Roma in the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
They even went undefeated in La Liga for 20-something games. It was a really long streak.
It's tough. So it's tough for players to just get that competitive edge back, right?
The momentum.
Now, speaking of competitive edge, Egypt and Saudi Arabia play the final match, and I know it doesn't really mean anything in terms of the points in the group, but geographically, when you look at on the map, these countries are right beside each other. So maybe there is some sort of rivalry. That's what I was trying to say before about maybe Portugal and Morocco. I know that they haven't played too many games. I mean, they haven't played in over 30 years.
Yeah.
But just the geographical rivalry of playing neck and neck, because the rivalry with Portugal and Spain
That's
arrived because
years
of
in
the
making,
geographical presence on the map.
Not the years, right? They played in the Euro, I think 12, the semifinals where Portugal lost in penalties.
Yep.
They've always played against each other in big tournaments, so you have that. I think you get rivalries the more you play a country, right? So, but for Egypt, Saudi Arabia, I guess it's just gonna be good to see who wants to leave with some pride, right?
Yeah.
But I still think, like Saudi Arabia today kind of made up for what happened
Very
against Russia.
disappointing performance against Russia.
Yeah, and they kind of made up for it today against Uruguay. But it'll be good to see which one of those teams go home with a couple points, or even both of them if they
Mohamed
tie.
Salah, does he score or no?
Yeah, I think you bet on him.
Yeah, you want him to. You want him to go out
Yeah.
on a high note in this World Cup after the season he had. Unfortunately, it's going to be tough with the teammates he has. Obviously, it's not the strongest team. But you'd like to see him go out on a high note just for the season he had. So let's move on to Group B. I just want to touch on that Portugal-Spain game. I think it's something we have to talk about. That was
Absolutely
one of the best international games I've seen
It's gonna be a
probably
classic.
since I've been alive, other than when Italy won the World Cup in 2006.
Okay.
But
Hey, we have to throw that in there at least.
it was an incredible game. Ronaldo completely took over the game, and obviously today he's been taking over the tournament as a whole now. But it was 70. It was just the day of he accepted the fine of the charges, the $20 million fine, and a 2-year jail sentence, and he put together one of the best performances of all time.
You know, that free kick, judging by the timing of it, as well as, the gravity of the situation, you're down 3-2 against Spain. It's the 87th minute. You have to put the ball in the net. For him to step up to the plate and put that ball into the net just shows how much he means for this national team.
Yeah, that was his 45th free kick attempt, and that was the first one he's scored for Portugal.
He wasn't gonna let anybody else take it though. Let's be real.
No,
Right?
no
Of course
way.
not.
It's his
John
team.
Moutinho's got to step aside.
I think Guerrero's a better
Guerrero.
free kick taker.
Guerrero's got a good free kick, but he's been off, right? He's been hurt most of the season, so
Yeah, he hasn't had the best
No.
year at Dortmund.
But
No,
he's played well this tournament so far, and it's not the same Portugal as of old as we're used to,
not.
as Ronaldo carrying the team. In the first game against Spain, William Carvalho had a great game. Guedes had a good game. He gave that beautiful touch to Ronaldo on the second goal on the De Gea blunder. But Ronaldo definitely flipped the game on its head, and the match ended as it started with Ronaldo in complete control of it.
Absolutely. I think Portugal, for probably the first 20 minutes, controlled the game. They controlled the tempo, which is actually amazing considering the fact that you have to go up against Andres Iniesta, Isco, and Sergio Busquets in that prolific midfield that Spain have. For Portugal to do something like that, that's great. And then the tide turned, and it went to Spain. And then the tide turned again and went to Portugal
Incredible. It
right
had
at
everything that
halftime.
match.
And the tide turned again in the second half. And with that Nacho goal, like, from a technical perspective, for him to hit the ball so cleanly on the bounce and his form as well is right now for me the best goal of the tournament. Just from that standpoint,
I'd have to agree
that
with
goal
that.
was incredible. And he recovered because he conceded the penalty 4 minutes in. And this is one of the best recovery performances, and probably is the best recovery performance of this World Cup, because for you to commit a foul in your own penalty area, concede a penalty, Portugal takes the lead, well, you're probably thinking on the inside, damn, this is my fault. And then he comes around, and of all people that you expect a shot like this from, he doesn't exactly fall onto that list.
No, he's not my first name on that list, on that team.
second or third.
But Nacho's goal will get the headlines, but it was Diego Costa's performance that really
Gave him the
gave
shot.
Spain, kept Spain in the game and almost won it for them, really. But But it was like after Ronaldo's free kick, the camera zoomed into Diego Costa's face on the bench, and it was like, he forgot about what Costa just produced. His first goal is exactly what he is. A bull in a china shop. He elbows Pepe in the head, and then has enough skill to beat two defenders to make Jose Font and Guerrero look like school kids. Completely put them on their ass.
Exactly.
And to finish like that past Rui Patricio, giving him no chance, was incredible.
That's who he is, right?
Diego Costa is basically the Brad Marchand of the FIFA World Cup. If you have him on your team, you love him. If you have to play against him, you can't stand him. And I think him going back to Spain, from his career perspective, going back to Atletico Madrid was the best move he possibly could have made, because he had a great year in Spain, and he's having an even better year for the national team. When he played in 2014, he was with Chelsea, and he did absolutely nothing. And now, he's doing everything. And he's always in the right position at the right time. He's doing the best things for the Spanish national team that probably would have saw Alvaro Morata be in that front spot, and he's not even on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now we have Spain, Portugal both on 4 points, Iran on 3. Who gets out of this group? Or who falls behind?
Man, I'm gonna stick with what I said, which was Spain first, Portugal second. All Portugal needs to do is a tie, right, on the third match day.
Yep.
Spain, I think, is gonna win over Morocco, even though Morocco's probably gonna try and leave with some pride as well. But that midfield is dominant. It's always has been, always will be.
And Diego Costa gives them something different that they haven't had, he didn't do in 2014, and that's giving them a direct route to goal. We're used to seeing tiki-taka football from them, but he gives them that different kind of football. And it's wonderful to watch him just work on his own. He doesn't need a strike partner. He can bully his way to the net any way he wants, and he has the skill to do it as well.
Yeah, Spain are already on a big story right now because, just before their first match against Portugal, Julian Lopetegui gets fired because he was colluding with Real Madrid behind the Spanish Federation's backs, and they fired him, and they bring in Fernando Hierro. And I wrote an article on my website, robertbelardi1.wordpress.com.
Self-promotion is real.
Self-promotion. Of course you have to.
Got to plug yourself.
Absolutely,
I love it.
you have to. And I was not concerned with this move because Hierro has been a part of the Real Madrid team in 2014, assistant coach to Carlo Ancelotti. He's always been the sporting director now for the past few years, and he was also another director when Spain won the World Cup in 2010. He knows the system.
He's known as the locomotive in Spain.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the best midfielders in Spanish football history. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to score goals.
He knows the insides and outs of this team, right?
So he knows what he's doing. I still take Spain coming out in first because I think Morocco's confidence is completely blown. Yeah. They know they're done, and they may just start playing subs.
I think,
they may just get
today was
their
best. Today was their best game they're ever going to play, I think, and it wasn't enough.
They couldn't put them away when they should have, and they should have come out with 3 points. But
yeah,
exactly. And just to add on, we didn't see a penalty today.
No.
And that's a bit of a shocker considering that there's been 10 penalties in all 20 World Cup games thus far.
Well, we'll get to VAR in a little bit because that's, for me, the biggest storyline of the World Cup so far. But yeah, I think Portugal finishes first in the group, actually. I think it's going to come down to goal differential, obviously. And I think Portugal will be able to score more goals than Spain.
That Iranian defense, though, today held up against Spain.
I believe it's going to be a fight, but I can't bet against Ronaldo right now.
So you think they're going to open up against Portugal? Well, they kind of have to, right?
They're going to have to get a win, right? They can't draw. So I think it's going to open up for Ronaldo and Guedes, and if Andre Silva can make an appearance, or Quaresma, or Bruno Fernandes. They have a lot of attacking talent, this team. And being led by Ronaldo, obviously Ronaldo's the only one that has scored for them so far. I think they have the talent for other players to produce.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Nelson, kick off the next group.
So Group C, France, Denmark, Australia, Peru. So it goes down tomorrow. France right now and Denmark are on in the lead. We're with first and second. What did you guys think of the France game?
Well, this is where the VAR really began to make its historic appearance with the Griezmann goal in the first game against Australia. For me, that was a penalty, and I believe that the VAR was used correctly in this situation. The Australian defender didn't get enough of the ball to take it away from Griezmann's path, and as he was running past the defender, Griezmann's back leg got clipped, and going at that pace, any contact is going to put you to the ground. So I believe the ref got it right in that situation. And then I don't think France played a great game with all their talent they have, a lot of expectations. But one player I do want to highlight was Paul Pogba. He's been getting a lot of flack for his performances at United, and then not many people believe he can be a leader. I was one of them. But he showed in the first game that he can boss that midfield. And then his goal, or the own goal, is just validation and, a cherry on top for his performance, because he really played amazing that game.
Yeah, I think it was first game jitters for France. They struggled really coming out of it and kind of got a little bit lucky with the penalty, but we got to see.
With both goals, right? The second one barely crossed the line, and luckily for the goal line technology we have now, unlike Frank Lampard, he's probably not too happy. But
no, Frank Lampard is probably with BT Sport right now, and he's thinking, why wasn't this not a part of the World Cup in 2010? But I love that. I love that about the goal line technology. I like VAR in this World Cup so far. I think they've been pretty spot on with a lot of decisions. And yeah, at the time, if goal line technology was there, in hindsight was 2020, and Lampard's goal actually counted, it could have been a different game. And that's a whole entirely different conversation. I can't speak English right now.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough language, we got to work our way around it. But for France, I really found that there was some holes to be capped on. Like, Paul Pogba's performance, I'm with you on that one. It was a great performance. Don't get me wrong. Griezmann could have been better at times.
I think when Giroud came on, he changed the game a little bit.
Giroud always plays well for his country. He's just one of those players.
He's a super sub. I don't think he can be a starter.
Well. He works hard. He does his job, and he's lethal in an aerial threat, especially for a French team that lacks a little bit of height aside from Pogba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's a super sub for me. I don't think he can be a starter for any team. But as a sub coming in, he always puts in a good shift.
Now, quickly before we get to the next two teams in that group stage and then predicting the next matches, Zlatan Ibrahimovic criticized Didier Deschamps for not bringing Karim Benzema. And he says Karim Benzema is a winner. Would this France team benefit with Karim Benzema on it or not?
Benzema hasn't been part of their program in quite a long time now.
A couple tournaments, I believe.
So
already.
I don't think there's any grounds for that. I think that's Zlatan just trying to make headlines, as he usually likes to do. France turned down Martial already as well. Turned down Payet. So
you can have a whole nother team with players
exactly.
who didn't come
you can
to
have
the World
two
Cup.
teams of the French national team. You can have four different teams of Germans, and they would probably be in the quarterfinals.
People criticize Benzema all season long, and then when Zlatan opens his mouth about something, it's like he's right, But 4 months ago, you were just criticizing Benzema for not doing anything for Madrid. So what is it, right?
For me, I've always liked Karim Benzema. I'm not going to lie to you, because I like the way that he can hold the ball in the attacking third. His ball possession is arguably the best out of all the number 9s that are out there right now, and he holds on to that ball. He gives Ronaldo and Bale on Madrid time to get up the pitch and to get into the play. He does a very good job with that, and I think that if he was on the team, he can provide experience. He's gone deep into the Champions League 3 years in a row.
Where would he play?
You would have to play a false 9. You can play Griezmann on the wing if you wanted to. You can try that
That's
out.
not his position, though.
I know
for
it's not his
Atletico,
position.
that he plays
or you
at the
play
top.
Benzema and Griezmann in tandem up front.
I don't think that works for me.
Either.
I don't think Benzema's good enough for this French side, and he hasn't been good enough in years. And obviously, Deschamps is not the greatest coach, but I believe he made the right call in this one.
So what's
just because not only because of his talent-wise, but again, there's a lot of off-the-field issues with him, and it's been following him for most of his career
that's
now.
True.
So,
bueno.
Do you really want to take that to the World Cup, where it's a short tournament and you have to get the most out of your players in a short amount of time?
Well, Croatia have experienced that with the little bit of dramatics.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that after. But right now, France play Peru tomorrow.
Yes.
What is the deal? Because Peru came out flying against Denmark. Paulo Guerrero comes on as a sub. He almost scores a nice back heel. Jefferson Farfan did really well. Andre Carrillo did really well. What's the verdict here?
You got to think France going to take it, right? Because they want the 6 points and have their foot into the next round.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could see Peru really coming out and beating France, especially after the way France came out last time.
And especially the way
Yeah, I
Peru
agree.
lost the match.
Yeah.
They put in a really good performance.
Yes.
And that can go either two ways in the next match.
They also missed a penalty too in that game. That really demotes your confidence a little bit when you miss a penalty, and then you have to recover from that, and then you try to score a goal that much more.
And it's like they had their chances to score an opener and to take the lead against Denmark, but it was Denmark having that one opportunity through Eriksson on the counter, and he slips a beautiful ball through for Poulsen, and it's a nice short side finish, past the Peru goalkeeper. They had a lot
Denmark
of first
team.
game jitters, and they haven't been to the World Cup in a very long time. So, and I think the decision not to start Guerrero was an interesting one. I personally don't agree with it. He's your most prolific striker in the history, and you have him on the bench.
I think he'll be starting.
He has
Yeah.
to start
I
against
think he'll be
France.
starting.
He has to.
Well,
He was so influential when he came on.
I was just gonna say the way he came out and played against Australia. Denmark, sorry.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
Yeah.
Words are hard, buddy.
We've been tired today. I mean, we had our technical difficulty yesterday, which we haven't even mentioned, that we recorded an entire podcast, and we found out that it was not recording at all.
Devin's fault.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Well, wait, man.
you gotta play with your most
On
prolific
record, it was
scorer.
not my fault, but we'll continue.
All right. But see, Denmark now are taking on Australia tomorrow
Yeah.
morning. Kasper Schmeichel has not conceded a goal in all of 2018 thus far.
And he was
And
fantastic
for a
in the
team like
first game.
Australia. What's in it for them? Is there any shot at all? In my opinion, I don't think there is, because I think Denmark, even if Denmark ties or wins tomorrow, they are still in a good position for this group.
I feel they're going to come out hot. There was obviously the controversy in the first game against France. Their coach was visibly upset about the VAR being used. So I think that will give them a little bit of heat under their feet to really get something from this match and feel they deserve something from the France game.
Wow,
They
you really made that rhyme, eh? Heat under the feet.
Buddy,
Are we gonna get a mixtape now, buddy?
check me on SoundCloud. Don't even worry.
Another
It's
plug.
coming soon.
Plug.
Yeah, Bert Van
streets are waiting,
Marwijk
I
was the
know.
previous manager of the Netherlands national team. He's gone to a World Cup final. He knows what this tournament is all about. I just don't know about Australia. They've always been in the conversation, though. They're always one of those teams where you do overlook, and then they come up with a wonder goal of some sorts. Tim Cahill in 2014 came up with that wonderful volley.
Beautiful, yeah.
Incredible, with his weak foot.
Is he still on the team, Tim Gale? He's on the team? He's on the squad list?
I believe so.
think
Yeah,
so.
a
I
little
think he
shout
is.
out. Oh, wow.
I didn't see him last
Good
game.
for him.
I
It's
still
older
think
older
Denmark's
head.
gonna come out on top. Sorry to the Socceroos, right? But Denmark's got more of a complete team, I think, and France and Denmark for me are the ones that are gonna get out of the group.
Yeah, I predict
Yeah,
that
it's
as
going to
well.
be
France and
difficult for
Denmark,
Peru now.
Yeah.
first and second.
I think they're going to put up a nice little fight, but it's going to be really difficult for them now. They have Australia next, and then, they have France next, and then Australia. So they're going to need something against the Socceroos for sure. And then if they can get a point against France, that would be huge for them. Just even if they don't qualify, just for their own confidence, just taking something back home with them to say they did it. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the next group, we have Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, Nigeria. And we saw a very surprising result in the first game. Argentina tied Iceland 1-1, and here's a funny stat. Euro 2016, Portugal's very first match, they tied Iceland 1-1. Ronaldo, 11 shots, no goals. Argentina, in this World Cup, tied Iceland 1-1. Messi, 11 shots, no goals. And we all remember Portugal went on to win that Euro. So is Iceland that good of a competitor to get the big teams going? Because when we saw Argentina,
they're like good luck, Chuck. You know,
a little good luck, Chuck. You need one.
Portugal drew them in the first game,
Yeah, but
and obviously that spurred Iceland's Cinderella run. But it also might have
Exactly.
helped Portugal.
It does work
Yeah, but
both
you can't
ways.
tie your way all the way to
You
this
can't,
one, right?
You can't tie your way to the World Cup
Right.
final.
Portugal tied all the way
And
their
they
way out of the
finished
group
third.
stage in the Euro.
Exactly, but they finished third,
Yeah, finished third in
right?
that
You
group.
can't finish third here.
That's true.
That's the difference.
But
it was a shocker.
Go
Big
ahead.
time shocker. Messi had a horrible game. I don't know if he's tired from the long season he had with Barcelona, but the team wasn't clicking. They weren't syncing up together. it was kind of
The
a
same point I made
yeah.
about Suarez and Cavani can maybe be said about Messi, right? He hasn't played a competitive game in quite a long time, but it's the same old story for Argentina. When Messi gets the ball, they all stand around like they're statues and they wait for him to do something.
It's
But
way too reliant
Iceland
on
was
Messi
rough
to
with
do
him.
everything.
They were quick in defending him, getting numbers behind the ball, and honestly just boxing him out, giving him no support, cutting off his teammates to give him no support.
Yeah, and Messi also missed a penalty. That's 4 penalty misses in the last 7 for both club and country. One of the things that really shocked me is the stat line came up during the game, and it said that Argentina had 545 passes, and Iceland had 103, and they were just completely dominating Iceland on all cylinders, and Messi tried to play hero too much, and it didn't work. One of the things I feel about Argentina right now is there's not that energy about them that we all felt when the World Cup was in Brazil. When the World Cup was in Brazil, you really felt an energy about Argentina. You felt it about Brazil. You felt it about a lot of South American teams. The South American teams right now, faring in Europe, are honestly not doing all that well.
They've been awful so far.
I think there's only 2 wins from South American.
Yeah,
Something
both
like
from
that.
Uruguay, and all of them have put in awful performances. Colombia obviously failing to do anything against Japan. Argentina only getting a point against Iceland, and Brazil only getting a point against Switzerland, and then Peru. Uruguay barely getting by their first 2 group games against much lesser opponents.
I think for next game for Argentina, Aguero shouldn't start. I know he scored. Once he scored the goal, he did nothing after that. And I think that there is a little bit more chemistry with Higuain, and I know Higuain has had his fair share
Blunders,
of
misses.
misses in important games.
That's why I
But
feel
the
you can't play
chemistry is
him.
good between the two. They work very well. And why Messi was playing left mid or center attacking mid, we've seen multiple lineup formations on different apps like The Score, for example, and to try to justify where he was playing is tough, but it looked like center attacking mid. Play him out on the wing, right wing. Get him in his position that he has the most notoriety in, because that's where we all know Messi to be playing in. Get him out there. Play Di Maria maybe on left wing. Gonzalo Higuain as striker, and Dybala has to play. He does. He's got to come on, whether it's a substitute or whether it's a starter. I think he should be starter. That may be a little bit of a biased opinion because I'm a Juventus fan, but set the bias aside for 1 second. He's just that talented of a player. He's a creator, and he also has a very good shot. He's a developing player, but playing a center attacking mid behind Higuain where he plays for Juventus, there's chemistry there. That can work.
Do you think he's too similar to Messi, Dybala?
And Messi
maybe that's why it
has
doesn't come
said
in?
that himself, and
Right.
they play way too similar, and that's a shot at Dybala, and also giving him a little bit of credit, saying he's an amazing talent, he's an amazing player, but unfortunately he's born in the wrong era, and he's gonna have to wait for Messi to stand off, and this obviously might be his last World Cup with Argentina, so
He did retire last time, right?
he
Was
did,
gonna
and
do it
then
again?
came back.
Do you blame him, though? He lost 2 Copa Americas and a World Cup final. That's very tough to stomach.
It's tough, but it's like kind of, I guess some people might feel like he turned their back on them, right?
Well, in Argentina, imagine the pressure. Diego Maradona brought 2 World Cups to Argentina. And Lionel Messi, who is supposed to be one of the greatest players of all time, which he is, has not brought a single trophy for his nation.
It's different eras, though.
It's tough when you're going against a film director, from
Yeah,
the penalty
well,
spot.
goalkeeper
he
Hannes
knows the
Halvorsen.
scenes already. He
Film
knows.
director. Iceland have 5 players who are doctors, include the coach who is a dentist. Head coach Heimer Hallgrimsson is a full-time dentist as well as a coach. The right back has a day job making salt, and he had to ask for time off. I mean,
Good for the workplace to give him the time off.
oh yeah,
though.
good for them. Who's that salt company? Can we call them and credit them?
Jesus.
Like, way to go, guys! Thanks for giving the time off, even though he probably has a strict vacation time and he's using it to play in the World Cup.
He gets 2 weeks paid.
Probably.
Hopefully.
He might be home before 2 weeks, but we'll see.
We'll see. But, for Iceland, I mean, what they've done in their country to progress themselves in tournaments, to progress themselves as a football nation is astounding, because for every 500 Icelanders, and this was on TSN out of nowhere to give credit for where the statistic came from, for every 500 Icelanders, at least one person is a UEFA A or UEFA B level coach. When you go to England, it's 1 out of every 11,000 people. Yes, the population is a massive difference. England are roughly 60 million. Iceland are the smallest nation ever to attend a World Cup at 330,000. But to implement that system in a volcanic island where you can barely even play the sport, to fund some money and put all these facilities in, it's amazing really what they're doing.
Yeah, it is incredible. I think they're the size of Mississauga. Had to give a shout out. But moving on to Croatia and Nigeria, the other two teams in the group. Croatia obviously got the win against Nigeria. Not in convincing fashion, but they did look comfortable throughout the whole game, in my eyes.
It's that midfield.
That midfield duo of
Rakitic
and Modric was just incredible and looked like the best midfield in the whole World Cup so far.
And they're going to have it tough against Argentina, right?
Yep, and they got hard workers. Mario Mandzukic, Ivan Perisic. One of the best players in that match for me against Nigeria was Andres Kramaric, and he was always around the area, was always creating opportunities. He was always involved. You heard his name all the time.
Croatia for me is probably one of the dark horses in the tournament right now. The way that that midfield and their strikers, that they can score goals at any time too, right?
And they most of the time they're underperformance at major tournaments. And this is actually their first group stage win, the first win at the group stage, in the first round of the group stage is what I'm trying to say, at the World Cup since 1998. And the last time they did it was against Jamaica when they won 3-1, and they actually reached the semifinals of that tournament. So now with 3 points in the Argentina draw and the Argentina game they play tomorrow as well, it's going to be an incredible match to watch. And if they can get a point at least against that in that game, they'll be looking to top the group when they play Iceland.
I think that tomorrow's game between Argentina and Croatia ends in a draw.
Ooh.
I take the 1-1 or the 2-2. I don't think either team ends up with a victory here.
Well, that's what probably Croatia wants, right?
They'd be okay
and they're
with
in the
that.
driver's
They'd be
seat.
good with that.
But I just can't count out Messi right now, right after that first game performance.
Yeah, and he said when he missed the penalty, it really hurt.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna come out firing. So
if they don't, then Argentina are in shambles, and they have to completely revamp that team and just start fresh, because this era of Di Maria, Aguero, Higuain, and Messi hasn't produced.
And it's all coming to an end.
Yeah, they're all getting older, and they need a new group of players, a new crop. Also, we mentioned earlier about the Croatia team, Nikola Kalinic, the Milan player, unfortunately plays at Milan. He was sent home by the team on Monday, after he refused to come on as a sub in their first game against Nigeria, claiming that he has a back issue. But there could be a problem in the camp because you just don't play in the World Cup and say that you have a back injury. Most of the time we find out later that there was a problem in the camp, and the coach just doesn't want to reveal it right away because they don't want any drama at the World Cup, obviously.
Yeah, you don't want to have that negativity surrounding your team when you need to go and play the most important match of your tournament right now against Argentina.
And it's a short tournament, right? This is a month, so you got to have everybody tip-top shape and
everybody
prepared
mentally
for
focused and completely invested in the tournament.
Yeah.
Now for Nigeria's game against Iceland, I hope Nigeria wear those crazy jerseys that sold out in the UK in, 3 minutes, I believe?
Really quick.
Very quickly. I believe it was 3 minutes. And if I'm wrong, well, then I'm wrong.
They took it right off the mannequins, I heard. And they didn't even care what the size is. Everyone just wanted one.
What they've done to them is amazing. And that's one of the ways that these younger teams can, increase their popularity, especially with these uniforms. And don't get me wrong, Nigeria still have a pretty decent team. They got Kaleki Iheanacho off the bench. They got Amin Musa, who's still pretty good. Victor Moses, of course, really leads the charge. He's one of the most notable names on the team.
And then
they can cause Iceland some problems. I think that one also ends in a draw. I'm going to take 2 draws in this group tomorrow.
You're a boring man, my friend.
You know what? I can be a boring man for this, but I'm not boring in anything else.
I think Nigeria's pace is just going to be too much for Iceland.
Really?
And I think Nigeria is going to come out firing. And African teams always put in good performances at the World Cup, and they haven't so far other than Senegal.
Yeah.
So I think look for Nigeria to make some noise against Iceland.
I'm taking Iceland. I just think that their tie against Argentina is going to pump them up. So I guess we'll have to wait and see for that one. And
That
then
goes live Friday
Yep.
at 11 a.m.
And it's also the same day where Group E kicks off, which is Serbia, Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica. And we had a big shocker as Brazil tied. What did you guys think of that one?
I think Switzerland did what they had to do, and that was drown out Neymar. They fouled him at every opportunity. They didn't let him get any space in the second half. And that really takes him off his game, the physical play. He doesn't like that.
Yeah, Neymar was fouled 10 times more than any other World Cup player in 20 years, since England's Alan Shearer was fouled 11 times by Tunisia. And, aside from the Coutinho masterpiece of a
Beautiful.
goal,
It was a tap-in.
beautiful goal. Yeah, well, for
him.
Coutinho standards.
For him, that's a tap-in.
His standards are nothing where we set our standards to. Our standards, that would be the best goals
That would
of
go
our,
in Rosetta
of
if I
our
tried
career
that.
because we're amateurs. But that guy,
Corner
he does
flag.
Go out for a
otherworldly
throw-in,
things
never
with
mind.
it. So I really like the performance from Switzerland. They held the line. They held off a prolific attack from Brazil. And Neymar is showing signs that he's not healthy right now. His fractured right foot that he got surgery on was recovered. Now it's an ankle problem. Now it's all of these things. He got a new haircut. And remember, the last Brazilian that got a new haircut was the Brazilian Ronaldo when he did that famous haircut in 2002.
I don't know which one's worse.
I'll take
I kinda
Neymar.
had that
That's
haircut, though.
debate. The spaghetti hair.
I'll take.
Looks like Lady on the
Ronaldo's
Tramp is
haircut
just
is
eating
actually
the
the better
pasta on
one.
his
I
head.
like that Ronaldo one. I used to
Yeah?
have that. I had that kind
Did
of
you
like
have that?
a little bit.
I would have
similar to
made
it.
fun of you.
I'm gonna bring a picture. And
Luckily, we didn't know each
I'll bring a
other.
picture. We can put it on after the main screen.
But yeah, for me, Brazil, they were cruising in the first half, and they looked like they were going to walk away with a relatively light game, cruise to victory and an expected win as well.
I think Allison should be to blame though on that goal. It was in the 6-yard box. You got to come out and grab those.
You have to come out and pressure.
Can you blame him more or the defense more on that?
blame
You
the
got to
goalie.
come out, man. Right in the 6-yard box. He was right next to the guy who had it.
Listen, if we're playing FIFA, that goalie's coming out, and he's taking the ball
I think
away,
if you had
or he's punching
Ederson,
it.
he would have come out.
Ederson would have
In
come
my
out.
opinion,
Ederson is the more
should
aggressive goalie out of the
He should
two
be
of
starting,
them.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
He just had the better year for Manchester City. He's one of the best goalies, if not the best goalies around the world. And then I think that blunder cost him.
That's got to be hard to say considering you're a Porto fan and he came
Very
from
hard to
Benfica.
say. You have no idea, but you got to give credit where credit's due, right?
That's
And
absolutely
it's,
right.
it's not like Brazil didn't have their chances in the second half. Miranda had that volley at the end, and I felt Gabriel Jesus was fouled in the box. He was pulled down
Yeah, that was
by
a
the
foul
Swiss
for me.
defender, and I'm surprised it didn't go to the VAR, but the ref said he had a clear angle at it, and fair enough. But it's all at the judgment at that point. But Brazil need to find their feet in this tournament. They need to find it fast. They do still control their fate in this tournament, but they need to put in a good performance against Costa Rica.
Yeah, and Costa Rica did not look like the Costa Rica of old in 2014 against Serbia. And what about Kolarov? The guy
Doesn't
has
age.
one of the best techniques from the dead
Class
ball.
is permanent, right? And he's been doing that for years.
And Serbia are the tallest team in the tournament. And if you look at their back line, they're not exactly that young. Kolarov's a left back.
It's
He's
full
in his 30s.
full of experience, and that's what you need at the back, right? 3 of their 4 defensemen have over 200 national caps, and are average age of 33. So you need that at a major tournament. You need that leadership. You need that experience, and Serbia have it in multitudes in a plentiful amount.
And weren't we talking earlier as well that there's over about 50% of goals are from set pieces? If they're the tallest team, you got to think
That
that they're
gives
going to
you the
score many,
advantage.
many more goals from set
And I really
pieces.
like the play from Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, who's speculated by big clubs like Real Madrid and Juventus, and his play in the midfield was sublime in terms of
The
how
three
he
of them
controlled
there, I
the
loved it.
tempo. Dusan Tadic was really good in that game. He showed a lot of his craft that he usually does when he was playing with Southampton.
They're a constant threat attacking
Nemanja
that
Matic
Costa
is a
Rica
good
defense.
holding
Yeah.
midfielder. Look, this is a pretty good team. I think, though, they do have a shot in coming out of this group.
I had a good feeling about them last week before the tournament started. I had a really good feeling about this team. They have that good experience of youth and experience, and I'm excited to see how they progress in the tournament.
So what happens now? Brazil against Costa Rica?
Brazil.
Yeah,
Brazil, I say Brazil
They
as
need
well.
to. They need. At the end of the day, they have to.
Yeah, they have no choice.
They
And
literally have no choice.
now the other one is Switzerland,
And
Serbia.
against Serbia. What now? That one is more even out of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Who comes out of that one?
I believe Serbia. I picked Costa Rica to come out second in the group. Obviously, I don't think that will happen anymore, unfortunately, for my prediction. But my third choice was Serbia, and I think they're gonna come through for me.
I'm gonna have to say Switzerland. That's who I got coming out of the group. I just think that they're always a good team when it comes to working together collectively, and I just think that they can overpower the Serbs.
I'm with Nelson. I took Switzerland coming out of this group. I like their wing backs. I like Stefan Lichtsteiner and Ricardo Rodriguez. Their goalie, Sommer, is pretty good. I thought Roman Berkey would have started, but I understand why he is not starting, considering that he's still pretty shaky. He's had some blunders with Dortmund this year. I like their midfield in Granit Xhaka and Xherdan Shaqiri and Seferovic up front. I think they're still a pretty good team. They have experience coming out of the group stage. They've been pretty consistent in the past few tournaments, especially from a competitive level. I think they're going to come out of this one.
Yeah, moving to probably the biggest upset so far, Germany-Mexico.
Oof.
What a game from the
Disgusting
Mexicans.
performance by Mexico. Absolutely ran
Even
rabid
Germany.
through that German midfield, and we're not used to seeing that.
Oh, I thought you meant disgusting as in
No.
and a
German,
negative value.
like,
No, I
disgusting.
misinterpreted what he said.
I
got
thought
that
he was gonna talk
confused.
about Germany's play.
That's what I thought he
That's
was
what
going.
was
Yeah, that's where I
disgusting.
thought he was going.
No,
You
no.
gotta give
Mexico,
credit to Mexico's
exactly.
midfield, right?
Unbelievable.
Hector Herrera played one heck of a game. Shout out to Porto player, right?
Yeah, and from a tactical
They matched
perspective,
up perfectly.
They matched
against
up
Germany.
4-2-3-1 each formation. Herving Lozano, Chucky, as they call him, he played a heck of a match, and he led the qualifiers with 4 goals. And Javier Hernandez, who we know as Chicharito, has Hernandez on the back of his shirt, not Chicharito now. And with also Carlos Vela, and then good performances from Miguel Layun. Look, this Mexico team is not to be taken lightly. They've never been past the quarterfinal. They've only been to the quarterfinal when they've hosted the tournament. They've never gone anywhere else aside from that. This is a team to be taken very seriously right now. And when you look at it from the tactics like I was talking about, when you look at teams who play Germany and counterattack, and I know I'm going to talk about Italy here, and I understand that Devon and I are Italian, but I'm not speaking from that perspective. I'm speaking from this, and you'll understand where I'm going. Why did Italy always beat Germany? Because they knew how to defend well, crash, and counter. And look, Joshua Kimmich, right now, Germany's a great player, but he pushed way too far up the pitch. He left Lozano, of all guys to leave open, you're leaving Chucky open, and Mexico countered Germany like no tomorrow, and it eventually paid off, and they scored.
And they could have scored a few more too, right?
Yeah, in the first
Absolutely.
half, they
They should have had a
dominated.
penalty.
They dominated that first half. And like you said, it was the counterattack that killed Germany. And we're so used to seeing Kroos, Khedira, and Ozil being able to control the pace of the game and control the midfield. But they had none of it against Mexico.
No, they had an off game.
It was just Mexico came out with so much energy, and the pace of all those players you mentioned is incredible to watch. And I've never seen Germany put it in. They didn't look like themselves. I haven't
No,
seen
not
them
at
play
all.
like that in forever. My whole life, probably. They've always had a solid core group of players, and they've always gone far in tournaments. But now we're seeing maybe a little bit of the World Cup curse with the World Cup champs losing out in the group stage. We've seen France do it. We've seen Italy do it. We've seen Spain do it. Three out of the past 4 World Cups. So now we're going to see with Germany.
I think Germany still make it out of the group, though. I think Germany are one of the teams that they just show up every year. Since 2002, they've made the World Cup semifinals. They're always in the mix. So with Germany being that consistent of a team, and with Thomas Muller obviously showing up in the World Cup, which I think he still will,
Tough. I
this
think
German
he's
team can
past it a
still
little
come
bit.
out, and I think they'll still make it out of the group stage. Will they win the group? I don't know at this present moment. Mexico are now the front runners.
Yeah.
So that will have to be judged based off of the result of the next game.
Their next game is big. It's against Sweden, and they have 3 points, right, for Germany.
Yeah.
Sweden played
So
a
it's
really
a must
good,
win, or else they can say goodbye to the tournament. And then, like Devin said, there's a curse.
Yeah, that Swedish game against South Korea was probably the most dead game of the World Cup tournament. Nothing was going on, and all of a sudden Grankvist steps up, takes a penalty, and Sweden win based off of that 1-0. There was a lack of creativity from both teams. There was a lack of excitement, really, from both teams. I was watching a little bit of the game, and I found it very hard to stay focused on the game. I would go on the computer and veer myself away. That can change. I mean, Sweden did beat Italy. They did come out with a win. No matter how they did it, they held on and they made the World Cup. So this is still a competitive team because they do have guys like Ola Toivonen and Emil Forsberg. They're a pretty decent team here. They're not to be taken lightly.
No, they're organized. They were organized that whole game against Korea, and obviously against Italy, it takes a lot of organization because Italy's usually one of the most organized teams. So they proved a lot of people wrong just doing that. Can they go far in this tournament? I don't think so. I think it'll still be Mexico, Germany coming out of that group.
I agree.
But I think going forward for Germany, how big is the loss, or not the loss, but the snub of Leroy Sané? Because I think he could have helped them in the first game against Mexico and given them, as you said about Diego Costa, a little bit of a different threat.
His pace would help them a lot.
And Royce being on the bench for Draxler. And then the sub that he came on for, Royce for Khedira, didn't make much sense to me.
So you're saying that maybe Draxler not on the team would have been the better decision?
Maybe not on the team, but I think...
After the year Sané had,
it's tough. Anybody that played for Man City should be on a World Cup team.
I mean, you have to put Marco Reus on the team because he is Marco Reus.
100%. He deserves to be there, especially for all the injuries he's faced throughout his career and missing the 2014 World Cup. So, but the sub for Reus for Khedira didn't make sense to me because they didn't have any control in the middle of the park, and to put Reus in, another winger, another attacking player, it helped them. It gave them chances, but it just didn't. It wasn't enough.
It left the midfield too open.
And they had their chances. Obviously, Kroos in the first half, that free kick, an outstanding save by Ochoa.
Yeah, he's always consistent.
So for me, it's Germany, Mexico.
Yeah, me as well. Germany, Mexico come out of the group stage.
And then, so we're moving on to Group E with England, Belgium, Tunisia, and Panama. Two of the top teams of the tournament, England and Belgium, obviously. England, both teams usually underproduce at major tournaments.
Yep.
But both are in good victories in the first game.
Looking at the Belgium-Panama game, something that I've noticed in this World Cup, the Panamanian fans were singing their hearts out for the national anthem. The players were.
Captain was crying.
The Peruvian fans, captain was crying, exactly. The Peruvian fans came out. Mexican fans came out. And really credit the Central and South American fans. The South American fans as well are very passionate. Credit them because Russia geographically is very far from their location. It's a long flight. And they come here and they support their teams religiously. For Belgium, I mean, what a goal by Dries Mertens. Romelu Lukaku.
For me, that's the goal of the tournament.
Yeah, eh?
Yeah. Obviously, the Nacho goal was outstanding, but just the technique to hit that from Mertens. The corner of the 18 as well, to lift it over the keeper into the far corner. It was incredible.
I still think the Nacho goal is harder and
for
the goal of the tournament. But you got to give Martins credit because that was a beautiful strike.
And Lukaku comes out and scores 2 goals. Mm-hmm. He scored 2 goals in the previous World Cup tournament. He scores 2 goals in this game. And, Belgium are one of the teams that have always been disappointing, exactly like you said. They don't have an aficionado type figure. They don't have a Messi or a Ronaldo or a Neymar. But they come out and they play. And Roberto Martinez had his criticism. Thierry Henry is the second assistant coach, So you know what? There's a different mentality here, and I think Belgium can probably come out of this group. I don't know if they're going to go far. I still don't think so, but the energy and the change of scenery really helps because Mark Wilmots wasn't getting it done.
No, definitely not. But yeah, Belgium looked dominant in the second half, and Hazard looked dangerous every time he touched the ball. De Bruyne was fantastic. He wanted the ball at every chance he could get it. And he gave Lukaku that assist for the header for the goal.
And what a story by Lukaku.
Yeah.
How he was poor and his mom had to put water in the milk so the milk can last a week so Romelu can eat, and he promised his mom, and his dad was a former footballer. By 16 he was playing for Anderlecht, and he played for Anderlecht, and he just kept advancing his career, and he told his parents he was going to get out of the struggle.
It's just one of the feel-good stories out of World Cup that you end up hearing, right?
Much like Gabriel Jesus, right? Yeah. Cleaning the walls for the Brazil World Cup, right?
4 years ago, yeah.
And even Lukaku's criticizing Belgium fans, and he said, I don't know why some people in my own country want to see me fail. I really don't. When I went to Chelsea and I wasn't playing, I heard them laughing at me when I got loaned out to West Brom. I heard them laughing at me, but it's cool. Those people weren't with me when we were pouring water in our cereal. If you weren't with me when I had nothing, then you can't really understand me. And that's powerful.
That's a big statement, right? But it's truthful. We'll see how he advances through the tournament, how he progresses, if he continues the hot form. Obviously, that was a game against Panama, not the strongest of opponents. But we'll see how he does against Tunisia in the next game, and then obviously the big one against England in the last one.
Yeah, I think
the only thing that worried me for Belgium was their defense, and obviously Boyata was the new one in that threesome, but he didn't look confident. Martinez said that Company is expected to play a part in the tournament sooner rather than later. So what does that mean? Who knows?
They missed him big time.
They did.
They were a little shaky in the beginning.
A lot of times they do.
They needed his
injury
leadership,
woes.
right?
But moving on to the England game, what are your thoughts, buddy?
Ooh, if it stayed 1-1, the headlines would have been different, right? They kind of lucked out. They lucked out a little bit with that goal, right?
they did. Wasn't convincing.
Wasn't convincing, but
they did look good.
Like I said earlier, for Portugal,
created
it
a lot.
matters is the 3 points, right?
Yeah.
And they got
Yes,
the 3
exactly.
points, and the headlines were, they're bringing it home.
England did show flashes because they had a lot of chances. And
Yes.
what I like from
Right
Gareth
from the start.
Southgate-
They came out firing.
Exactly. What I like about Gareth Southgate, who is the first England manager not to have been born when England won the World Cup, he's brought a lot of new guys. He's not playing names. You know what I mean? He's not playing Chris Smalling, who plays for Manchester United. He's taking that aside. He's playing Maguire, who plays for Leicester City in central defense, and he's playing hard-working individuals, and you really see that on the field. Now, Sterling can use a bit of a better game.
Yeah, he struggled. He's been struggling for them. It's been 983 days since his last goal for England. I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but that's 50 years?
You're not?
Is that 50 years?
Oh, you're just almost there.
Almost
Almost
right?
there. Yeah, just a bit.
It's a long time.
I think
In my head, that's a long
Well,
time.
being a mathematician, Harry Kane scored
Not a
2
scientist.
goals in one game,
Yeah.
and he surpasses Wayne Rooney's World Cup goals record, which stands at 1, and took Rooney 3 World Cups to get there, and Harry Kane does it in 90 minutes.
He put in a great performance. There's no denying that. He did what he was there to do in that score, right? That's all he's there to do
Right
for them.
spot, the right time for
And
both
sometimes
of them.
that's all it takes. And he's the last English player to score a brace at the World Cup since Gary Lineker did against Cameroon in 1980. And that was the story of the game for me. And that was Kane answering his critics a little bit. Obviously, again, it was against Tunisia, and Tunisia did put up a good fight. They seem to be a little bit of a tricky opponent and might be able to cause Belgium a few problems. But they looked like they were going to pull out a draw, and a very historic draw for them.
I still think this England team is prepping for the Euro coming. They got a lot of guys, a lot of young guys, and they're just trying to get that experience in for the next tournament to be ready.
Yeah, I agree with that. And in England, 18 million viewers in the UK for this game. That beats, guess what? The Royal Wedding, which was at 13 million. So take that, Prince Harry. Harry Kane 1, Prince Harry 0.
I don't know about that. I would change
I would
that.
say
Meghan
absolute-
Markle.
It is 1.
That counts as 5.
No.
At least?
No.
Give them 2 for that.
Okay. Still, yeah, my boy Harry. Good for him. So, England-Panama goes down Sunday at 8 a.m. and Belgium-Tunisia goes down Saturday at 8 a.m. Results?
Ooh, you got to go with Belgium and England, I
Yeah,
think.
Belgium and
Right?
England, I'll
they'll
put both of them 2-0.
And they'll both be already with 1 foot in, right? Actually, they'll both be in the
They'll
next
both
group.
be in the next round, and
They just gotta
they'll
face
set up
each
a
other.
cracker of a match in the last group game.
Now let's move on to the final group as we cap off the last little bit of the show. Colombia versus Japan, shocker. Poland against Senegal, shocker.
For
and
you, it
what
was
we
a
know,
shocker. For me, that wasn't a shocker.
really, it wasn't. Why, how so?
Like I said last week, I wouldn't be surprised if you could give me 2 teams out of this group, any 2 teams, and I wouldn't be surprised. Any combination, because they're all so evenly matched. I don't put Colombia as a top team. I don't put Poland as the top team, although I have them as a dark horse for myself. But obviously, Senegal proved a lot of people wrong in that game. But speaking on the Colombia-Japan game, Carlos Sanchez, the best midfielder, red carded within 3 minutes, and is the second fastest red card at the World Cup since 1986, when Jose Batista did it within the first minute for Uruguay.
Did he bat flip?
I wish. Thinking of the wrong guy, though. I think. That's not confirmed. But
I was a little shocked by Colombia, actually. They had the score at 1-1, and then they come and put on Baca and James Rodriguez instead of trying to hold and secure the 1-1, right?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense
You
at
could
all
have
for
taken
me
home
either.
a point, and the group would have been, maybe more closer together. And now you just jeopardized probably coming out of the group stage. But I still have them coming out. Colombia's got Falcao and a lot of good strikers, so they can turn it around still.
Yeah, I
It's
think
gonna
Jose
be tough.
Peckerman didn't do a good job at managing that. You should have just played for the tie at 1-1. One of the things that I want to bring up is, the anchor of the midfield for Colombia, Carlos Sanchez, is sent off. Just like you mentioned, I want to go back to that for 1 second. Was that a harsh red card? Because for me, it was. When you're jumping, it is a penalty to say. It is a penalty. But to call a red card and he's jumping, he's in midair, your arms are automatically going to elevate with your body.
yeah.
I still think it was a penalty, though.
It was a penalty.
Yeah,
I'm not denying that. The red, I think, was harsh.
It's tough to give them like a double punishment like that right to start their World Cup. But obviously his hands were out, and that's the way. That's life, You got to know how to control your arms when you're defending, especially in the box, and that's something you learn as a young child. Obviously, even going down Juan Quintero's low-driven free kick.
Beautiful goal.
Beautiful.
I still don't want him to come back to Porto. Beautiful free kick, but he's not meant for Porto.
Japan became the first Asian nation to beat a South American team at a World Cup.
Also, the first Asian nation to win in this World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now their next game, Poland versus Colombia, is going to set up who goes home early, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If a team comes out with 3 points, the other team's going home.
And even the Poland-Senegal game, let's move over to that one for just 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Poland controlled none of the game.
Especially in the
They were
first half.
outplayed.
And they shot themselves on their foot.
They shot themselves in the foot, and I'm sorry, but what was that in the second half? How can you concede a goal like that?
It's awful.
And of all people, Mbaye Niang, or you are a Milan supporter and watched Mbaye Niang for a little while.
I think he might have scored 2 goals for Milan in 3 seasons, something like
and
that.
here he comes in. Scores 1 in the World Cup for Senegal.
Senegal became the first African team to score when they did, and then also became the first African team to win at this World Cup. And it was the first time since 2002 there has been a goal in every single game in the first round of the group stage.
And this isn't also the first time that Senegal have come flying out of the gates in the group stage. In 2002, they beat France, the World Cup defending champions. Now they come out against Poland, and they put together a convincing victory. And there's a little bit of a Liverpool-Everton duo on the first goal when Sadio Mane passed it to, I believe his last name is Guy, if I'm pronouncing it properly, and he went and scored. And
A little bit of luck, but that's sometimes what it takes, right? It's a little bit of a lucky deflection to take it past Szczesny, but at a World Cup to win, you got to be lucky, right? And speaking on Poland, like Lewandowski didn't touch the ball in the first half.
Nowhere to be found.
No, he wasn't there all game. He didn't have the service that he normally gets, right?
No, but I picked him to be one of the top goal scorers in the tournament if Poland was able to go far. It's not looking like such a good pick anymore.
No, I think all of our picks taking Colombia and Poland to come out of
Yeah.
the group is just not happening right now. So what happens next game then?
I think Senegal surprised a lot of teams, and they go far in this tournament, go farther than a lot of people think. And Poland and Colombia, I think one of those 2 teams make it. I'm not sure which. But Japan obviously put in a great performance, even though they were able to just barely get by a 10-man Colombia team. But I think they fall behind in that group, and it's either Poland or Colombia, whoever wins that match.
Yeah, I think Senegal's going to shock people against Japan, come out with the win. And it's going to be either Poland or Colombia coming home, but one of them's going home when they play each other. So whoever loses is going
Ciao,
home.
arrivederci, whatever you want.
Go
Go home. You can't stay here. You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here.
I'm surprised you whipped out a little bit of Italian.
That's all he knows.
I think it's predominant language.
That's all I learned.
That's all he knows.
So
Okay,
we'll see.
so a little bit of predictions going forward. We have obviously Denmark, Australia tomorrow. Who do you have?
Denmark,
Denmark,
Denmark, France, Peru.
France.
France.
No love for Peru.
Nah, France
Sorry,
gonna
I
come
can't
out-
take
Peru. I can't take you guys. Give me
France gonna come
Peru.
out firing.
Why do you always got to do that against us? You always have to take the team out of the odds,
I
and
like
then you
Peru.
look like the goon.
I
in
picked
the
Peru
end.
to
But then he
put up a
looks
fight
good
in
if
this
he gets it
tournament.
right, right?
Yeah, but high risk, high reward.
Hey,
But
I
usually it
picked-
doesn't look good all the
I
time.
picked
And
1-1
you came-
today.
You came yesterday for our error podcast in socks and sandals again, and I can't
My
stand
mood all
it.
summer.
Now, funny enough, we all came today, and we're all wearing pretty much the same style of Adidas shoes, but that's all off topic. That's just
I got my
something to show
Quaresma
over here.
jersey
Okay.
on.
So Argentina, Croatia.
Ty.
I'm gonna go with Argentina. I think Messi's gonna have a big game.
Give me Croatia. Give me the Croats. I love them. Brazil, Costa Rica.
Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil will come away. I think
Yeah.
they need to find their feet, and they will. Neymar coming off the injury, I think he'll
He's
perform
practicing
well.
today. He
Yeah.
didn't have any issues.
He seems
Yeah.
to be healthy. Obviously, I think he's a little bit of a crybaby the way he left training the other day. Nigeria, Iceland.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Iceland.
Iceland.
I want to see them do the Viking clap. Nobody else.
I
please.
love that
Just-
Viking clap.
I
Not
just,
TFC.
no, man. There was, I forgot who was. I think it was today or yesterday. I was watching one of the games and somebody was doing the Viking clap. I'm like, please, just leave it for
Leave
the
it for them.
Icelanders. That's
They
their
don't have
thing.
much.
Yeah, it's
Let
for
them
them. It's
have
their
it.
I don't wanna
Viking clap.
see
There was
any.
no Vikings in Toronto when this was going on.
No, nobody did.
Toronto
it until
wasn't
they did
even
it.
an establishment, let alone.
It's my little rant for
like I
today.
said earlier, Nigeria for me, I think their pace is too much. Serbia, Switzerland.
Switzerland.
I
Switzerland.
have to pick Serbia. I need to go home. There's a lot of Serbians in Mississauga. I need to go home. This is for my safety. Belgium, Tunisia on Saturday.
Belgium.
I think we're all gonna be with Belgium.
Yeah,
right?
of course. I think that's the easy pick. Mexico, Korea.
Gotta go with Mexico. I need
Mexico.
my Portal Mexicans to be happy.
Yeah, Mexico go on 6 points for me, and I think they win the group eventually. And then to end that day is Germany, Sweden.
Germany.
Gotta take Germany. The way they played, they have to come out strong.
Give me a Sweden draw.
I don't know if the Swedes can handle them.
Give me a Sweden draw. Obviously, I think Germany will come out firing, and they have to. They don't need an embarrassment. But I do think Sweden can hold them to a draw, and we get a little bit of an upset. England, Panama on Sunday.
England.
You gotta go with England.
I don't think Panama win a game. Unfortunately, I know it's a little harsh. I know it's their first World Cup, but
It's not nice of you, Rob.
wow, not nice. Want to talk about not nice? You are just going against us the entire show here.
Give me England too. I'm sorry, I gotta agree with you. Japan, Senegal.
Senegal.
I think Senegal's gonna.
I
shock
love my
people.
Senegalese. Let's get it.
I
My boy
wanna see more
Sadio
of them.
Mane, Koulibaly,
I gotta see more of those celebrations when they score.
and I love that.
Oh, that was amazing.
It's beautiful.
And I love that man, Ismaili Sarr, who turned down Barcelona last summer because he said he wasn't ready.
He's ready now.
I think he's ready now. And to end the second round of the group stage, Poland, Colombia.
Colombia for me.
Tie.
Tie?
Yeah, I'm taking the draw.
Poland. A lot of Polish in Saga, too. I need to go home, guys.
Stop taking these decisions to
This is-
defend yourself.
I
Why
need
are
to-
you thinking about
he needs
yourself?
to make it home.
I need to go home.
You can make it home.
I need to go home, Rob.
I love my Colombians.
Take the 427 or wherever, 401, and you can make it home.
Let's have you sit in traffic for an hour.
All right. Well, I mean, there's not going to be traffic at this time. Anyway, so that's our predictions. This is the second episode of 12 Years Out
Coming
podcast.
live from Humber Lakeshore. Shout out Humber Lakeshore.
Shout out Humber Lakeshore, and shout out to technical producer Matthew Stevens for making this all happen for us. We thank you for tuning in and listening to our podcast. We probably don't have to introduce ourselves anymore since Nelson will probably commit every single week like
At
he
an
should have
emergency, bro.
done last week. I
At
will
an
never
emergency.
continue. I will continue, to going against you. Anyways, that is our episode. Thank you very much. We will see you next week.
I'm so reborn. I'm